For this week's Movement Monday, I'm going to share with you two things that are potentially greatly handicapping your training, especially when it comes to your abdominal and core training. The reason why these are so detrimental is because they interfere with the neural connection to your muscles. Unfortunately, there's two things that can shortchange the entire process, regardless of what you're doing or how you're doing it. These two things are A, the ability to keep your muscles tense in an elongated position, and B, the ability to hold tension under a great amount of resistance. For the first one, think of it like time under tension. Okay, now a lot of us, we can have a muscle tense in a shortened position, right? So that's good. However, when we go through a rep, if we elongate the muscle, can we still keep tension in the muscle? A lot of times, especially with the abs, the answer is no. So what ends up happening is we're tense, and then it goes bleh, and it's still blah, and it's still nothing until the very last second. So what ends up happening is your time under tension is greatly diminished, even if you're doing the exercise for a long period of time. You could do 20 hanging leg raises, for example, but you're only getting the time under tension and therefore the benefit of like 4. So the solution is simple. Teach yourself to keep tension in your abs in an elongated position. And there's a very simple way to do that. This is the classic cat-cow exercise from yoga. You can do it anywhere, recommend training it daily. Go on all fours, clench your abs, have a posterior tilt to your pelvis, so you're flexing your abs. This is the shortened position. And then you cow, where you bow your back a little bit. You have an anterior tilt to your pelvis. But the question is, can you keep that tension on in your abs as you go into the cow position? Not only is this going to create better time under tension for greater abdominal development, but it also helps to relieve a lot of that stress that builds up on the lower back. Now, what about the second thing, the ability to keep tension under load? Well, this neural framework that your brain sends tension to your muscles, it has these little like safety switches, kind of like a fuse box in your home. When your electrical system in your home gets overloaded, it blows the fuse. Well, your nervous system does very much the same thing. It'll keep tension in a muscle, but if suddenly you were to like load 500 pounds on your arm, it turns off and your brain gets overloaded very quickly. So what it does is it shuts down all the tension in your muscles. So to fix this, very simple exercise. Again, get on your back, shoulders up off the ground, kind of like in a bit of a crunch, legs straight up, flex your abdominals as much as you can. Bend your knees if need be, if the straight leg version is too hard. So what you're doing is you're practicing putting tension in your abdominals. Then bring your legs closer down towards the ground while keeping tension in your abs to the point where you feel maybe a little bit of shaking going on. That shaking is technically called rate coding. It's literally your brain is programming your muscles, just like they're a computer. And at that point, you're practicing using tension at the very edge of where you can handle that load of resistance. Of course, I fully admit this stuff is hard to get at first. It's going to take some practice. You may not even feel like it's doing very much for the first few workouts, hell, maybe even the first few weeks. But I guarantee if you practice these things, practice keeping tension in your abdominals in an elongated position and with greater loads of resistance, with gradual progression, I guarantee your abdominal training will be on a whole nother level. Questions down below. Be fit, live free.